Carrie, let's hear it for her. Thank you, Carrie. What a panel. We are really thrilled to have everybody here today and thrilled to have you here today. This is almost standing room only. I've never seen a crowd like this before. Wow. All right, we're going to start the questioning first with Carrie. Carrie, how do you see performance marketing evolving in the cruise industry, and what emerging trends excite you?
Well, thank you, Bill, for having me on a panel. It's very rare someone gives me a microphone, so thank you. With performance marketing, it really is what it always was: metrics, metrics, metrics. And I go by, you can't manage what you can't measure. You have to know what's coming in, you have to know what's going out, and what it's driving. And here at Victory Cruise Lines, we have a small runway to when we're starting for next year, where most cruise lines might be selling their cruises 12, 24, 36 months in advance. We had about 9 months from when we launched last summer. So it's all about test, learn, and repeat, and doing it quickly, and then figuring out what's working and doing more of that. And really, it comes down to the marketing mix and knowing our audience. You know, we are who we are, and we are appealing to an older, well-traveled demographic that has time and money. We don't have time and money, so we make well-informed decisions when we can. Actually, someone that works in social media, that we work together at a company, as I was walking on, said TikTok is trending, but not for Victory Cruise Lines, which is true. Our guests like Facebook. They want to be on Facebook and they love social media. So for us, it's really getting back to those basics and giving, finding our guests where they want to be found, right message to the right person at the right time, and in that channel that they want to be found, talking to them the way that they want to read about that story that's going to connect with them and have them want to come to you. And with us, it's direct mail. And with direct mail, it just makes the phones ring, they book, and so we layer that in with our marketing mix with all the social media, email, which can be our leading edge indicator of what works for us, and then we learn really quickly and put that into print.
Okay, thank you. Scott, can you share a case where a cruise brand built a long-term partnership with creators for authentic storytelling that led to significant ROI?
So, I personally haven't had a long-term deal, but this is the future of content creator relationships with cruise lines. It's basically like the cruise lines is treating you like an insider. And when you're treated like an insider, you can create more trust, and it doesn't feel like a transactional post. You know what I mean? It feels more authentic. And doing long-term deals, you can really go deep with the brand storytelling. You can really get deep with the employees, with the staff, with the crew. And that's what really takes the storytelling to the next level. I try to put crew in as many content pieces as I possibly can when I'm on a ship, because it's what makes or breaks your whole voyage, so why not make them the centerpiece of the piece?
Makes sense. Suzanne, how do you ensure your content marketing aligns with brand values while adapting to the consumer behavior? Additionally, how does social media help you reach new consumers and inspire them to cruise?
That's a lot, Bill. Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for coming. Our social media strategy is designed to align with our Let's Holiday brand campaign. Did anybody here see our Super Bowl spot?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Did you like it? Okay, good. So it also is designed to bring to life our European style meets American comfort positioning. And so what you'll see is our social media content will have the music, the hashtags. We won't say vacation, we'll say holiday, like Mr. Vago did earlier on a panel. And really, we also want to highlight our European style, whether it's our elegant ships, our Swarovski crystal staircases, our Italian homemade pizza. But we also want to highlight American comfort. If you want buffalo wings, a burger, you can go to the comedy club, to the All-Star Sports Bar. And it's really staying true to our brand values, and that's how we make an impact in the social media space and attract new customers. And for new customers, it's really about maximizing our reach and engagement, which we focus on via our data-driven social media strategies.
Okay, thank you. Sarah, how can cruise lines effectively use social media to reach new cruisers and attract a wider audience?
Well, thank you. Wow, this is on. First of all, are you guys awake? All right, cool. Just making sure. We're going to bring the energy from sitting down. No, I love that question. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's utilizing the guest experience for the guests that are on the cruise ship. They are your mouthpiece, you know. And so social media, it's all about what story, what's the experience that you are taking them on, because everybody wants to give a little bit of that FOMO, you know. They want to share what experience they're having, so then other people end up booking. And so if you just really go all in, you know, again, my background is in high-end customer service and those guest experience, those wows. And I really think that so many of these cruise lines do a fantastic job of training, and then that passes it on, because it could be something as simple as just making sure that there's a special treat in somebody's cabin, and then they post about it, and then you've got people that are doing real-time social media, but then of course obviously working with actual, you know, influencers that are proper creators. That tells the story of the brand in such a different way, and I think really just making sure to work with different creators and understanding their demographics, then they can really tap into that.
Thank you. Gary, with your extensive experience in brand building and marketing for luxury cruise lines, how do you foresee emerging technologies influencing customers' engagement and loyalty in the cruise sector?
Well, the emerging technologies are helping us to aggregate a lot of data points more quickly. But again, I know I'm going to come back to the sort of low-tech, high-touch. I know, Suzanne, you were talking about your wonderful Super Bowl commercial, which was great. I think that one spot might be my marketing budget. So it's, you know, how are we learning all of this quickly, which is great, very exciting. You know, and it's how can we do more with less. And so, you know, again, it comes back to storytelling. We use our chairman and founder, John Wagner. We're using social media to really get the story out there. And, you know, again, back to the basics, knowing the audience and executing flawlessly where we can, pounding the message and priming the pump, and making sure that the phones are ringing. The trade and travel agents with technology, that they have the tools that they need so they know about Victory Cruise Lines, and if they want to send out an email or a flyer, that they're able to do that, and it's right at their fingertips. And it's I think it's also understanding that you can have really great technology, but also knowing your audience. And, you know, you might have people that are working on the project from a marketing standpoint that might be of a different generation than the people that you're marketing to. So I think a lot of times it's reminding them, like, what would Aunt Mary do if she had to do this, or if your grandmother or your mother had to use this website, and making sure that it's intuitive for a broader audience and who you're targeting.
Thank you. Scott, what innovative content strategies have you found effective for engaging audiences with short-form video and raw storytelling?
I mean, it's all about the raw these days. People don't want the highly polished, beautiful videos anymore. I mean, when I travel and we have a video guy and we produce a beautiful 30-second video, something raw behind the scenes with a crew member or staff always does 10 times better. Because, listen, it wasn't always bad things that came out of the pandemic. One thing that came out that was great is it allowed you to produce something raw, authentic, unedited, shaky phone. Those are the best videos. Those are the best performing videos. Those are the best performing ads that people are using. And people don't understand that. I'm still talking to brands all the time, and they want to focus on those. Yeah, but I want the beautiful video. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But you also need 9 others that are super raw and super authentic. You know, use your crew as content creators. You know, it's just go deep within yourself and your own staff. You know.
I do shaky videos all the time, not because I want to, because I'm old. You know.
Very good at it.
Yeah.
Oh, you get an Apple.
Yeah. Suzanne, how do you leverage analytics to optimize your social media strategies for customer acquisition And why is it important for brands to prioritize analytics in their approach?
I mean, data is absolutely critical for all of us in our day-to-day. For us, and the good news is that social media has so much data because it's a digital channel. At MSC Cruises, we have key KPIs that we measure across our social media efforts. We measure them weekly, monthly, quarterly, and it helps us to evolve and to optimize. It helps us across our own and earned media to understand what are people saying about us, what is our brand health, what do we need to pay attention to. And the data's there, and it's really important that we all use it, because if we don't, two things can happen. One is we're making wrong decisions. They feel right to us, but what feels right to us isn't necessarily fact. Or we are leaving opportunity on the table, which none of us want to do, right? We want to maximize results, maximize our efforts. So it's 100% critical.
Sarah, what key hospitality trends in cruising do you think will have the most significant impact on marketing strategies in the future?
So I kind of touched on it a little bit more. It just all comes down to high-end guest experience. When I talk to a lot of individuals in hospitality, I always remind them that every guest interaction that you have, and this obviously applies to cruise ships, is your chance to remind. It's not only your chance to have like a good hospitality moment, obviously that reflects wonderfully on yourself, but it also reflects wonderfully on the cruise line, and it reflects positively on the profession. And so when you kind of zoom out a bit and you understand that every interaction is so incredibly important, and to remind your staff, like, some people save up for quite some time to get on the ship, and some people go cruising all the time, but it's like, if you can look at it through their shoes, through their lens, and really kind of keep things, I call it keep it crispy. So it's like, if you can get, make sure that the staff keeps it crispy, that goes such a long way, because we all know it's all about how you make people feel. Yes, we want it to look pretty. Yes, we want to have excellent food. Yes, we need to be operating on all those cylinders, but we also really need to be conductors of their feelings and their emotions. So I think really focusing on that it just drives everything.
Scott, want to answer that?
Yeah, I just want to say that, everything that you do, it doesn't matter if it's a post on social media or an interaction personally with a guest, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to change how you make people feel. And you always have to remember that. And you always have to be mindful of exactly what Sarah said, being in their shoes, but you also have to sort of be in their psychology as well and understand the world that they're coming from. Understand that if you're talking to a guest from France, it's different than talking to a guest from Minnesota. And also, like, what are they coming from? Is Minnesota getting like really bad snowstorms right now, and you're in the Caribbean and you have nothing but sunshine? So take that opportunity to really go deep with the opportunity that you have. I mean, you said it, but that just...
You just had to add on. Go figure.
Gary or Suzanne, do you have any further comments on that topic?
Very well said. I 100% agree. I cannot add anything else to either of you. 100% agree.
All right, Carrie, based on your experience, how have you successfully partnered and had successful partnerships influence media strategies in the cruise industry?
So we're really focusing on our pillars: destination, service, food, and enrichment. We're a little bit different, and then Victory Cruise Lines will only be cruising in the Great Lakes and a little bit in New England and Canada. So we partnered with the National Museum of the Great Lakes so that we can really extend, really enrich the experience, if you will, and have them understand about the region and what they're seeing and how interesting it is and the history of it and the food and the culture and all that. But we're also, partnering with, we have our media partners, and so we're using that earned media and amplifying that on social, amplifying our coverage on social, and a little bit to what Scott was saying before, kind of repackaging those things. So an article came out about us on Sunday, so then we sent that as an email to all of our email opt-ins to make sure that they knew about it. We made sure it was on social so that they knew we were getting that coverage. There was a little bit of credibility because we sail in 8 days, which is very exciting. But also repackaging things. We were filming a video of our founder, John Wagner, which was supposed to be a holiday message. And John started talking about the Great Lakes and how he loves the Great Lakes. And that became our love letter to the Great Lakes for Valentine's Day. So using that and getting that out to everyone to get them as excited about it as we are.
Scott, what advice do you have for hospitality brands hesitant to adopt new media strategies, given the importance of engaging niche communities and leveraging UGC?
I mean, it's everything. It's, if you're not adapting and innovating and moving forward and testing every day, you're not going to lose market share overnight, but you're losing market share over time. And UGC is the easiest way when you have no budget or a little budget to really exaggerate your marketing efforts and really amplify what little that you have. But as far as new trends, you always have to be testing. You always, it doesn't matter what the platform is, you have to download it, adapt it, and just test. You don't have to go all in on the strategy, but you definitely have to know what's going on with it, and you definitely have to lean into it. You know, I see brands all the time, and I talk to them, and we talk about when TikTok came out. And when TikTok came out, you had 8 to 11-year-olds dancing on the screen, and brands thought it was a joke. I know people that went all in, Rachel, and did very well. But just think about it. Every platform that comes out starts young and ages up. It was no different than Facebook. It was no different than Twitter. It was no different than Instagram. So all these platforms that you use every day, they all started young. So don't have preconceived issues with something that you know nothing about and you haven't tested.
Anyone like to add to that? Sarah?
Oh my God, the pressure. No, I mean, I really loved what you were saying, that it starts, like the new platforms start young and then they kind of age up. Wait, what did you actually ask at the beginning here? Oh, wait, so first of all, does everybody know what UGC content is? No, so it's user-generated content. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page, because not everybody. Yeah, you should have done that.
Do you want me to repeat the question for Scott?
No, you don't need to repeat it for me. No, but what I do like about user-generated content is, and I think we've learned this over years, whether it was from the pandemic and and it taps into what Scott was saying earlier, is that people like content that isn't necessarily overly filtered. And by the way, I mean, obviously we want things that are polished and professional and wonderful. It helps get the brand message across. But what I like about user-generated content is that gives you as a brand real-time feedback, our guests actually having the experience that we are intending for them to have. And if they are, then boom, everything is working. So that's what I really like about user-generated content, because they are basically being the mirror to what you are hoping you are creating. So there you go.
Okay. Keep the microphone. Next question is for you, Sarah.
Sorry, guys.
Lucky you. In what ways does good hospitality influence social media marketing efforts within the cruise industry?
I feel like I keep answering the same way. Yeah, I mean, it all comes. It must be true. No, but I mean, again, it all comes down to that good hospitality, and that is, you know, I think a lot of people focus on influencers, which you should, because they do know how to curate and create professional content, whether it's a little bit more not polished or whether it is fully polished. I mean, I have a background in film and TV, so when I'm like on it with my videographer, like we're going all in, like it's a full-on commercial. Yet we want to make sure that there's parts of it that are very relatable. So understanding that, with hospitality and understanding again, like the guest experience, that you've got different individuals are having their experiences. It just goes back to that being that reflection of, oh my gosh, Scott is talking. Scott is giving you a hard time. Anyway, it goes back to creating incredible guest experiences, and people are going to go ahead and do that marketing for you. The influencers, certainly they have their tapped-in market, but don't sleep on your actual guests, because your actual guests are also going to be posting. And I think they've done a study that something like 86% of individuals make their travel bookings based off of what they see on social media. And by the way, what they're seeing on social media is not just from travel influencers, it's what their neighbor did, it's what their aunt did, it's what their grandparents did. So know that the social media experience is not just solely for influencers, but it's also for your guests.
We have a few more questions, but before we do that, we'd like to open it up to the audience. If anyone has any questions, just raise your hand, and we will come to you. Any questions for any of the panelists? Yes, sir. We're coming with the mic. Here we are.
All right.
You can say your name and name of the company?
Sure, I'm Nigel Sharp with Ducky Ventures. We're engaging in the sort of cruise trend that obviously has been the cruise ducking that's existed in this community and the Jeep community. But more broadly, kind of really interested in understanding how social media trends that are driven like this and generate a lot of user-generated content sort of tie into like large brand engagement, and then how you guys sort of look at like, you know, how much of this should you just let happen, you know, natively in the environment by users, and how much do you want to be curated experiences to sort of try those things together, and where that's having. And I have a secondary question that ties into this, which is how is AI and or the generation of content tying back into these trends, because that also like pushes things. So we'll see. You guys can answer the first or second.
Terry?
Well, I'm not sure if I can comment on user-generated content, because we don't sail for 9 days, which is exciting. But our one user, John Wagner, I mean, it's not really user-generated content, but we're putting him forward, so I don't. I think, you know, what I love about social media is when you're putting something out there, you know right away if something is working or not, if people are engaging with it, if they're liking it, if they're sharing it. And it could be indicators of what you can do in other aspects of your marketing. So I always love it in that way. And I do love in social media with that, the community that comes together. And so someone might ask a question, right? And the brand could jump in and answer that question. But if you just sit back a little bit and then you let the community kind of come together and say, oh, we're in June, we're doing this, or yes, they do have that, or they do offer this type of coffee if you're on board or something like that.
When I talked about maximizing reach and engagement rate earlier, one of the ways we do that, there's 3 main ways we do it, but one of it is keeping a top of trends and leveraging trends whenever necessary. And I think that's critical, that's important, and you have to identify the trends, and if you have a really good social media team, you will, and then figure out how to make it your own. In my experience, it's very difficult to create a trend. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's hard. And I assume a lot of brands try and they fail. But if you are going to try creating a trend, you should have a well thought out strategy. And within that strategy, you should have influencers. Because the influencers are the ones that are going to be the most likely to be able to turn it into a trend. Again, very hard. But I wanted to just share that perspective as well.
Any other?
Yeah, just a quick thing. So talking about like natively and like knowing when to, in essence, like gas it up and like put like promotions behind it. I think what I've always loved about social media is, and we've kind of talked a bit about it, is like you get real-time feedback. So you know what's working or not. I mean, obviously, as a brand is growing, you know, you might be just getting a little bit of feedback, but you can tell, oh, there's been a bit of an uptick. And so really making sure that your social media team they are on it, and they're like, okay, this looks like it's doing and performing well natively. How can we add a little bit more boost behind it, add some more gas to that, and then maybe you play into that. Next thing you know, you're starting to create a trend within your own brand. So that's always for me, it's like, don't be scared to play and find personality. You know, there's nothing that, like, I can think of different airline brands, for example. We'll talk about airlines because that's a safe space. But like, they have very distinct personalities online, And I've got an airline that I love. I fly them all the time, and their social media is like flat to me. Whereas there's another airline brand that they're having fun with it. I love this. Take a look at, I don't know, how many of you guys follow the TSA Instagram? Okay, TSA is not sexy. Can we agree? Not sexy. I mean, if you want to pat down. But like, it's not. So, but it's so true. But their Instagram is so spot on. So way to make the government sexy as well as TSA, which everybody dreads. So I think that that's a really good way to show how any brand can have a personality so long as you've got somebody executing it correctly.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have a little bit. I'm not saying that the trends are a bad way to go, because I have lots of friends who do it, and obviously millions of people out there do it. What I'm saying is watch and learn, and just test yourself. And if you see something working, so don't buy into the whole thing, I want to go viral, I want to do this, I want to do, because going viral is very overrated. It gives you 5 minutes of fame, and typically it leads to very little ROI. I've never went viral in my life, and I've been doing this for 14 years. And you can build a very solid brand by watching and learning trends, and then taking that ingredients from each trend and then modifying it into your own strategy. So I use trends to learn, and it's basically a school to me, instead of taking trends and, oh, I want to do this. I don't care. So that's how I look at trends.
Okay, any other questions on this side of the room? Just raise your hand and we'll come to you with the microphone. Any questions for any of the panelists? Just raise your hand. Oh, you have somebody here? There we are.
Hi, Liz Bettis with Cunard. So luxury is very personable, right? And everyone, like, luxury, I feel like also is just a key buzzword. In social media, how do you really exude luxury and make it very aspirational? I know, Scott, you talked about this before, quiet luxury, but how do you really do it to stand out and really, own the unique selling points for the brand?
I think luxury is the most overused word in the travel sector, and I think it means nothing. And it's meaning less and less every day that you move forward. Because, I'll tell you, I come from the investment banking world, right? And what luxury means to a guy that I know who makes all the money in the world, who works 100 hours a week, luxury to him might be staying barefoot and his feet in the sand and just having no communication with anybody for 7 days. Luxury to somebody else might be that bougie Michelin star restaurant. So luxury means so many different things to so many different people. It's impossible to portray that to one sector of the world. I mean, I know Cunard very deeply. You guys have so many stories to tell. Tell them in an elegant way, and you will attract the right audience. But have fun with it. So I always like to say, and back in the day when luxury was a word that you could use properly, is playful luxury. Anything that you do, it doesn't matter if it's luxury or not luxury, premium, it doesn't matter. You have to have fun with it, because that portrays in your broadcast, however you're broadcasting it. It could be a TV commercial, or it could be a video on Instagram. I mean, if any of you have ever seen a video that me and Sarah has shot together, you know that is all we do is have fun, but at the same time, go really deep. I mean, it's fun on my side.
Sarah, tell them the truth. Tell them the truth, Sarah.
Is it? No, but it's the perfect example of our videos produce tremendous ROI for brands, but we always manage to have fun, and it comes across, and it has to.
Well, what I loved about both of what Scott, I actually liked what Scott said. Mark that down. In case you can't tell, we've traveled together. So the thing with luxury, and I love what you said, is that there are so many. I would say when it comes to social media and understanding luxury, hyper focus on your demographics, because there are so many different types of luxury travelers. Some that want something. Because there's like eco luxury. But there's like luxury that's super you know, marble floors and all the super polished. But I think when you understand kind of like the mood of luxury, which is kind of like clean, polished, elegant, that translates visually in a lot of different ways, and you can kind of play with that. So, because ultimately, if you're talking about a luxury market, it's individuals that are willing to spend a fair amount, and so I think just if it's excellently captured, people they're like they want to pay for that experience. So.
Okay, I would be remiss if I don't jump in on a luxury question. You know, I found in my experience, luxury is about choice, it's access, it's consistency, and it's telling that story and showing those images of what they have available. What are the features of the product and the offering, the experience that would appeal to them. I think it really is getting onto the experiential side, and it's not just, you know, going to the pyramid. I'm going to go away from my region and the Great Lakes, and it's not just going to the pyramids at Giza, but it's going to the pyramids at Giza with Zahi Hawass and something where you're really deep in and you're understanding it and you're going a little bit behind the scenes. But I also think with luxury, you need to realize that not to be afraid of promotion and what's the deal, because even though they have a lot of money and they have a lot of choices in what they can do, you know, there is a lot of noise out there, and how are you going to break through the clutter? So I think it's to not be afraid to say, this is the deal, this is your promotion, isn't this exciting, we're excited about it. Plus you get all this other great stuff that you can do that is luxurious. I mean, luxury for me would be, you know, very high thread count sheets and maybe macaroni and cheese that someone made, and I'm sitting at home by myself. But you know, also that behind the scenes with Zahi Hawass at the pyramids at Giza, I would love that too. So,
any other questions in the audience before we continue with right there, the gentleman in the back? If you could stand up, please, we'll come to you. Yep.
Matt Burns, Burn Media. Just a quick question, a simple one, sounding simple, but maybe a harder question to answer is, with all the influencers that are out there, how do you filter through those and decide who to work with?
I think they're on stage here.
Who wants to answer this first? Because I think all of us have something to say about it. Ladies first.
So, you know what I find that a lot of people that reach out to me, they haven't really done their homework. They've maybe watched one or two videos and that was enough, and then they start a conversation and we'll have 2 or 3 phone calls, and then we realize that it's not a fit. So what I would tell you first is to learn. I mean, it's impossible to know everybody. It's impossible to see everybody. It's a trend that only got more saturated post-pandemic. But you have to really go deep and try to learn about the person before you reach out to them, and really learn, like, you can tell who their demographic is, who they're talking to. Go deep with the comments. You know, with me, when I first meet somebody on social media, whether it's a friend or somebody that I want to do business with, the first thing I do is I go to their comments to see if they actually reply to the comments, because that is the most courteous thing that you can absolutely do online. If they're not doing that, I don't really trust them to go deep into a relationship with them. And truth be told, 95% of the brands out there don't reply to their customers. They reply to who they want to, and if it's a really burning question, but nobody really replies to comments. And it's all about kindness. It's all about who you mesh with. It's all about who you feel comfortable with. It's no different than real life. Understand, everybody here has a phone. Everybody here has a social media profile. So everybody here is also going to be very different to your customers, to your demographic, to your potential audience. So, you know.
Okay, sorry. So I think it kind of, I mean, I'll make it super simple. kind of boiling it down to two things. One would be the metrics, so that's their demographic, their engagement, all of that. But then the second side of it is like their aesthetic and their voice, so what they're actually producing. Because obviously, as we all know, with algorithms and this and that, you can have somebody that's like super hot now, and then in a month from now, they're just, stuff isn't just performing as well just because of various changes like in algorithms. So I think hiring somebody just solely for the idea of like, oh, they're gonna get me 100,000 views, that I would caution against that, just because you can't always guarantee that. Obviously, the goal is, that's the goal, more eyeballs. But the second part, which I think is more important, is does that creator align with your brand and your demographic? So if you were going to share their content on your page, would you be like, yes, this would be marketing that we would want to put money behind? It makes sense. And so I think all too often sometimes people get caught up in just the numbers, and the numbers absolutely are important. We need ROI for sure, but I think it's also just stylistically and making sure that what you're going to get is in alignment. So I think a lot of big brands kind of miss the mark on that, but if you really kind of focus on the content and the person and like the quality of what they're bringing, I think you're going to have far more runway with that.
I think it depends on what the business objectives are. So for us at MSC Cruises, it depends. So for example, we're launching a new ship now, MSC World America. If you're driving by the causeway, you'll see her. And we all as an industry, or cruise industry, are looking to bring new people to the brand, right? So one thing could be, we have this really cool swing ride called Cliffhanger. It swings you over the side of the ship and back. I will not be going on it. But one angle is, we want to play up adventure, people who go on adventures, that they have an adventure audience. And we want an influencer who helps represent that to bring new to cruise. So that would be our business objective, right? So we would go and look for influencers within that realm. And when we do get to that point, we look at, do they align with our brand values, right? It's a conversation. Does it go well, right? Because sometimes it's just not a fit. And then in addition to reach, right? Because it's like, oh, well, do they have enough followers? Well, it's not only about followers. It's the most important thing is, what is their engagement rate? If they have 100 followers and 75 of their followers are engaging with their content every time, I'll take them over 1 million followers. Well, maybe not a bad example, but 1 million followers and where 100 people are engaging. So engagement rate is very important, and you can get all that data. And another example would be when we launch our ship out of New York. We know that New York is a drive DMA, so if you're going to cruise out of New York, you likely live driving distance. So there, we would go and find people who have a lot of influence with the New York geography. So a lot of it depends on what the business objective is. Do they match with the brand? And then what are their metrics? Most importantly, the engagement rate.
Okay. Any other question? We'll take one more question before we wrap it up today. Gentleman in the center raising his hand. We're coming right to you.
Hello, I'm Leo from Wireless Logic. I've got a somewhat technical question. We are talking about social media. Does that apply also during the voyage on sea, at sea? Because for that you need access to the internet. What's the opinion of the panel about giving free internet to all passengers, or whether it is okay to look at that as a business model, selling tickets to go onto the internet?
We are all inclusive, so we offer free Starlink Wi-Fi, so you can come on board Victory Cruise Lines, create your user-generated content, and then post that, and we'll share it. And we'll appreciate it, thank you, in real time.
Well, I have Carrie bragging over here. So that's a really good question. And in the United States, we live in a country where people don't turn off. So it's very difficult for most people to travel without Wi-Fi in some form or fashion, whether it's just to browse or browse and stream. And, you know, I'm personally happy for that. When it comes down to, is there an ROI versus the onboard revenue, That's a debate, right? And within the contemporary cruise line, I would argue, we're focusing on the onboard revenue because we know that the majority of people do purchase Wi-Fi and they are connected and they do share their experience. But it is a healthy debate to be had.
So I'll just answer super quickly. So I guess it would depend on like who's on the cruise ship. You know what I mean? Like obviously if you're having, let's say you're having influencers on the cruise ship, please make sure that they have Wi-Fi so that they can produce content in real time. But also, you know, what Suzanne was saying is that some people do. That's why they like cruising, is that they can kind of check out and be like, I don't have Wi-Fi. But in general, obviously, knowing me, I always have to be connected. I'm constantly working on 12 projects at one time, and I have to be connected, even in my sleep. So for me, that's definitely a preference. But again, I think offering it, it makes sense, but it can certainly, I'm sure, be trickier on the larger ships. Scott is dying to answer this.
So I feel the same way about people charging for premium Wi-Fi as I do with the hotels with the resort fees. It's absolutely ridiculous that this is a debate in 2025. I think now with Starlink has been a game changer for the cruise industry and Wi-Fi. I mean, I'm able to stream games and do calls on Zoom. It's ridiculous how good it is. I think Wi-Fi should be free everywhere you go. And I understand it's a huge revenue hit, and all my revenue friends are going to message me after this. But it is what it is. Find other ways to find that ancillary revenue. Because, first off, it benefits you. I mean, if I owned a cruise line, I would be shouting from the mountaintops that I would try to give my guests the fastest free Wi-Fi in the world. And use it as a marketing ploy. If anything else. I mean, we're going to get there anyway. So, what are you waiting for?
Scott, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming today. We had an amazing audience, and thank you so much for our panelists for coming near and far. Some of them came all the way as far from Los Angeles, California. Suzanne Salas, thank you so much. Kerry Tarnowski, Sarah Dandashi, and Mr. Scott Eddy. Let's have a big round of applause for our panel here today. And thank you all for coming. Hope you learned a little bit. And we'll see you around for the rest of the conference. Thank you.